Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Palisade Radio. Returning on the show with us today is Bill Holter, previously of Miles Franklin, now working Holter Sinclair with Jim Sinclair. Bill, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Colin.
Before we get started, what can you tell us about your recent move over from Miles Franklin to working with Jim Sinclair?
What can I say other than it's a dream come true? I mean, Jim is the brightest mind in the gold industry, and I look forward to learning as much as I can. I consider it the greatest honor that he wanted to work with me.
Well, that's fantastic news, and I wish the best for you in your new position there. When we were going back and forth between email earlier this week setting up the interview, you mentioned that this week was very big for Europe as a whole. In particular, you were referring to it as Greece weekend. There is, of course, a lot going on in Greece right now. What can you update our listeners there?
Well, it's coming to a head. I mean, they've got either they're going to pay or they won't pay, and they can't. I mean, they don't have the funds to pay. Their banks have been run. I think just over 2 days they lost $2 billion or 2 billion euros worth of deposits. Will they kick the can? Yeah, maybe they will. Maybe they can kick the can another 2 weeks into the middle of July. But the bottom line is they can't pay. And they did just sign a deal, I believe, earlier this week with Gazprom of Russia. So Greece may be pivoting into Russian arms, which is, pivoting towards Russia and China, which would move them away from the EU. And then you got to wonder, what is their NATO status?
Well, that's a very good point. And in talking about the pipeline, Russia, Gazprom in talks with Greece about building a pipeline to feed into Europe and not have to go through Ukraine. At the same time, the United States is pushing to put a new pipeline into Greece, and they are saying to Greece, well, if we sign a pipeline deal, Russia is not included, and Greece is shaking their head saying, well, why not sign both of them? Is this just another bad move by the United States?
Yeah, I think it's a very bad move by the United States. It's pretty clear if you look at what China is doing. China has been signing deals all over the world, and they're signing win-win deals. In other words, where the business is good for both parties. And the U.S. has not done that for years and years. They've been one-sided deals. It's been good for the U.S. and not good for the other party. And for the U.S. To try to push a deal and say, and Russia is not included. I mean, where's the natural gas and the oil going to come from? It's coming from Russia. So, that's very short-sighted. And as I understand it, the deal with Gazprom was actually signed. I was traveling this whole week, so I apologize. I'm not 100% up on the news, but if I recall, they actually did sign a deal with Gazprom.
Yeah, and the incredible thing about that, Bill, is that you look anywhere in the U.S. media and there's not a single mention of the Gazprom deal being signed with Greece, but I did indeed read something similar through some alternative outlets. I want to ask you about the muted response that the world seems to have as we're coming down to a potential yes or no from Greece here, or what the next move is going to be. And this can has been kicked down the road so many times now that nobody seems to give any credibility to the fact that this is actually happening. So with that being said, what happens if Greece actually does default and the can doesn't get kicked down the road further?
Well, that's a great question. And while I was traveling this week, it was on my mind. It's just amazing to me that Greece could default, and you're talking 350 billion euros, plus the derivatives on top of that. And there's absolutely there's like no concern whatsoever. I mean, you to hear it on CNBC or Bloomberg or the mainstream U.S., it's in the market already. That's ridiculous. It's in the market. You're talking about literally $2-3 trillion worth of derivatives just on Greece alone being affected. So when Greece does actually default and all these things get triggered, I would venture to say that within 48 hours, you're going to see this thing go around the globe twice, and the markets could even close. But yet you have these mainstream talking heads on CNBC saying it's priced into the market. That is completely ridiculous, and it's dangerous. It's just it's dangerous to try to keep people asleep, because that's really what it is. It's a calming exercise.
Yeah, I wonder what the implications on precious metals could be if Greece blows up and this does in fact go around the world twice. You've been writing about several different things that have been bubbling under the surface since 2008. I guess since before then, nothing has really come to a head and exploded yet to this point that would make gold pop or the markets sell off again like they did in 2008. But I guess when that happens, you think many of these things could trigger at once, and we could really have a global crisis.
Well, going back to 2008 and the lead up to 2008, nothing has been fixed. Every problem that we had in 2008, we still have, only bigger. So what they've done is they've papered things over and expanded the size of the problems. So every problem that existed before exists now. There are others now. You've got geopolitical problems, the U.S. pushing against Russia and vice versa. You've got China moving the world away from the dollar. But nothing has been fixed. And as far as gold and silver are concerned, if you do see a meltdown in markets and a seizure where they're having a problem getting markets open 48 hours after a default, you really could see gold and silver go no offer. In other words, it doesn't matter how many dollars you have, gold and silver will go into hiding. It will not be physical gold and silver will not be offered for sale until the dust clears. And when the dust clears, they will be at an entirely different pricing level.
Well, at the same time as many of these issues have been bubbling up, ready to pop, China and Russia and other countries have been taking measures to get away from the U.S. system. The formation of the AIB Bank, if I said that correctly, which we talked about last time, and
right.
now there's been a deal between China and Russia to trade exclusively in yuan and rubles. What do you see going on there? Is that continuing?
Well, yeah, that is the rest of the world trying to distance themselves from the dollar, from the effects of a collapsing system in the West. It's Russia and China deciding to do their trade strictly in yuan and rubles to the exclusion of dollars. This is about literally them trying to protect themselves and shield themselves from the fallout of our financial system.
You know what I'm wondering as the weekend approaches here. I see an article on Reuters yesterday saying ECB not sure if Greek banks would open on Monday. There's been such a run on the banks in just a few days that there might not be enough money to open the banks on Monday. And that's a testament to how horrid the fiat currency system is, that people can't get access to their own money. This is only Greece. What happens when this moves over to the United States?
Well, it'll move through Europe, and then to the United States. But it'll happen really quick when it does. Everything is so interconnected because of the layers upon layers of derivatives.
And with the derivatives laid over so tightly, can China and Russia actually escape? They're certainly going to be brought down to some degree if there is a global shutdown or a market crash.
Well, they've tried to. They've got their own clearing system now. China has been doing deals day after day for the last call it 5 years, where they're if you want to call it dumping dollars via contracts. In other words, they buy companies and they do the contracts in dollars. So it's a way of them selling dollars or forward selling dollars, whatever you want to call it. They will be affected, but you have to understand, China has amassed a huge amount of gold, probably at least 10,000 tons. Russia has been buying gold, and if you get a markup in the price of gold, then that will fill one side of the balance sheet, or the holes on the other side of the balance sheet.
And Bill, I want to ask you if you've been following the bond market. It's certainly the backbone of the fiat currency system we have, and probably as a result of Greece starting to spiral out of control, the German bonds have really gone up in the past couple months. The yields have more than doubled there, and the U.S. bonds have risen as well. Do you think that the bond crisis is finally upon us, or is this something that's going to take longer to play out?
No, it's absolutely started. You said that the German rates have doubled. The reality is they went up 20-fold. Interest rates within a 4-week span went from 4 basis points to 1%. So that's it's over a 20-fold move higher. And basically, the credit markets are the most important markets in the world because everything is based on credit. Everything. Pension plans, the banking systems, distribution to your local store where you buy groceries or whatever. Everything is done on credit. And if credit seizes up, then we have a major problem. Distribution won't occur, and you'll have empty shelves. And I mean, we'll be in outright panic. So yes, to answer your question, I think it's started, and the credit markets are the most important markets in the world.
Well, Bill, on that note, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have a small window today after your travel there. Where can listeners go to get on your new list so that they can continue getting your great writings?
You can go to, currently I'm being posted from JS Mindset. It's jsmindset.com. Just sign up for the mailing list.
Thanks so much, Bill. Pleasure having you back on the show.
Thank you, Colin.
Think you understand the junior mining sector, and you think that the participants in the mining sector, junior mining sector, are good people and kind people, hit the bid.
And the world is always going to need raw materials. It's going to need copper and gold and nickel and so forth.
Totally destabilized. Hey, Troll, did you hear what's going on in Yemen, or are you too stupid?